Good to Great: Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't, by Jim Collins, tells why some companies make a qualitative leap and become outstanding, while others remain mediocre. The author and his research team analyzed data from over 1,400 companies for 5 years and identified key principles that distinguish great organizations. Level 5 leadership, a disciplined team, a clear strategy, the hedgehog concept, and a focus on long-term development. Interestingly, Collins started this project after the success of his previous book, Built to Last, to find out how companies become great if they weren't born that way. The research results were so convincing that the book became a worldwide bestseller and mandatory reading for executives and entrepreneurs globally. Rule 1. Good is the enemy of great. Almost no one becomes great because most stop at good enough. When a company or individual has achieved decent results, an illusion arises that more isn't needed. This complacency becomes the main obstacle to growth. The path to true greatness begins not with a brilliant idea or strategy, but with an honest admission. We can do so much more. Great companies didn't make miraculous leaps. Their path is a gradual, systematic accumulation of effort. Outwardly, a breakthrough seems sudden, but behind it always lies years of work, like an athlete who suddenly becomes a champion after decades of training. Research revealed unexpected patterns. Charismatic leaders from outside almost never drove great transformations. On the contrary, companies led by calm, inwardly focused executives more often achieved breakthroughs. There was no correlation between bonuses and actual results, and strategies, slogans, and grand reforms had no systemic effect. For example, Walgreens or Kimberly-Clark didn't conduct PR campaigns or launch transformation programs. Their development proceeded quietly through internal decisions and discipline. They didn't chase industry trends or seek salvation in mergers. All key steps were based on common sense and facts. True greatness doesn't depend on circumstances. Many breakthrough companies operated in boring or unprofitable industries. This proves becoming great is a matter of choice, not luck. Therefore, don't look for excuses in external factors. Decide to become great and start acting. Rule 2, Level 5 leadership. True greatness begins with a leader whose outward modesty is combined with an iron will. They don't strive to be a star, seek recognition, or boast about successes. Their ego is directed not at self-aggrandizement, but at results. They work for the company, not for their own name. Such a leader is capable of decisive and unpopular steps if they are right for the business. They are not guided by personal sympathies, but choose a strategy based on logic and benefit for the organization. For example, Darwin Smith, who led Kimberly-Clark, made a bold decision to sell the pulp business, the company's foundation, to focus on consumer goods. This decision seemed insane, but it propelled the company to global leadership. Smith didn't seek fame or speak of his genius, he simply did what was needed. Level 5 leaders differ in their approach to responsibility. When successful, they look out the window, thanking the team, circumstances, the market. In failure, they look in the mirror and take the blame themselves. In companies with mediocre results, the opposite happens. Success is attributed to oneself, failures to others. Level 5, leadership can be developed. It begins with honesty, a readiness to serve a purpose greater than yourself. When resolve combines with modesty, a power emerges that moves mountains. Rule 3, first, who, then what? Before building a strategy, you need to gather the right people. It doesn't matter where you're going until the bus is filled with the right people. Once the team is assembled correctly, the direction will always be found. The main mistake companies make is hiring people for a specific plan. When the plan changes, people lose motivation. The right employees, however, are intrinsically motivated and capable of adapting. They don't wait for supervision. They demand responsibility themselves. Great companies don't waste energy on motivation. If a person needs to be motivated, they are simply not in the right place. It's better to hire slowly than to fix a mistake later. If there's doubt, don't hire. And if you feel someone constantly needs pushing, let them go. For example, Wells Fargo in the 1980s assembled a team of strong-willed individuals who shared the company's principles. These employees weathered financial crises and led the bank to become a leader because they worked not for bonuses, but for results. The right people are not just talented, they are those who share values and are good fit in spirit. Skills can be taught, but intrinsic discipline cannot be instilled. When the bus is filled with the right people, strategic questions are easier to solve. The company becomes flexible because the direction can always be changed if the wheels are turning in sync. Rule 4. Confront the brutal facts, yet never lose faith. Greatness is impossible without an honest look at reality. Closing your eyes to problems means burying the future. You need to learn to face the truth, no matter how bitter it may be. But at the same time, you must never lose faith that victory is possible. This balance describes the Stockdale paradox, a combination of unwavering faith in ultimate success with a willingness to acknowledge the brutal reality of the current situation. Stockdale, who spent 8 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam, survived because he didn't delude himself. He knew, this will be hard and long, but I will get out of here alive. To confront the facts, you need a culture of open dialogue. Great companies create a system where truth can be spoken without fear. Leaders ask questions. They don't dictate solutions. Meetings turn into discussions, not monologues from management. For example, Pitney Bowes faced a decline in interest for its postage machines. Management didn't deny the crisis. They analyzed data, asking, what's really happening? Thanks to this, the company managed to reorient itself towards new communication technologies and avoid collapse. The right people don't need artificial motivation. They need the opportunity to see reality and influence it. If they have to hide problems, the company loses energy. Face the facts, but maintain faith. Pessimism kills, and denial blinds. True strength is in the ability to hold these two opposites simultaneously. Rule 5, the hedgehog concept. Simplicity within 3 circles. The fox knows many things, but gets entangled in details. The hedgehog knows one big thing, but it's great. It doesn't chase everything at once. It's focused. So it is with companies. Greatness comes not from many directions, but from one crystal clear concept. The hedgehog concept is the intersection of 3 circles. What you can be the best in the world at, what genuinely excites your passion, and what drives your economic engine. Everything that doesn't fall into that intersection doesn't matter. To understand what you can be the best at, you need to step outside your comfort zone. This isn't just about what you like or where you're already strong. It's an area where you're potentially unbeatable. The second circle is passion. Without genuine interest, you won't be able to go the distance. Find something you're willing to wake up for with joy every morning. The third circle is the economic engine. Great companies identify one key metric that reflects the essence of their business and focus on it. For example, for Walgreens, it was profit per customer, not the number of stores. Creating a hedgehog concept is not an act of inspiration, but a lengthy process. In companies that found it, discussions lasted for years until the simple truth became obvious. If you don't know where to go, seek simplicity. Focus on what you do best, what you're passionate about, and what brings sustainable value. Then everything else will become clear. Rule 6, a culture of discipline. Create discipline through system and accountability, not bureaucracy. Give people the freedom to act, but within clearly established rules. People push the limits of their responsibilities, striving for excellence. Follow the hedgehog concept without compromise. Reject directions that don't align with it, even if they seem attractive. Use a stop doing list to avoid getting distracted by unnecessary tasks. For example, companies with a culture of discipline avoid mass layoffs for cost cutting and instead raise standards for all employees. This creates sustainable growth without destructive practices. Discipline makes a company flexible and strong simultaneously. When rules and values are clear, People act autonomously, and results accumulate organically. Rule 7, technology accelerators. Use technology as an accelerator, not a transformer. Don't chase trendy fads. Instead, choose technologies that directly support your hedgehog concept. Determine if new technologies align with your focus. If yes, implement boldly. If not, limit yourself to observation. Consistency is more important than speed. First the concept, then the technology. For example, 80% of great company leaders did not rank technology among the top 5 success factors, using it only to amplify an already chosen direction. Technology helps accelerate results, but greatness begins with a correct understanding of the business and a focus on what matters most. Rule 8, the flywheel and the doom loop. Develop gradually accumulating effort, like pushing a heavy flywheel. The beginning is slow, but each correct action adds momentum. When enough energy accumulates, rapid growth begins. Avoid drastic changes and constant shifts in strategy. Comparison companies often seek quick breakthroughs through mergers or large-scale programs, which creates chaos and a doom loop. For example, the flywheel effect at Abbott allowed for consistent investment in the future, despite market pressure, and employees themselves became engaged when they saw results. Great results are built slowly, consistently, and with an understanding of momentum accumulation. Revolutionary changes rarely work without basic preparation and discipline. Rule 9, from good to great to built to last. Maintain a core ideology while adapting strategies and technologies. Define the company's fundamental values and its reason for existence beyond profit. Continue to develop the hedgehog concept and set big, ambitious goals based on understanding, not bravado. A core ideology creates long-term sustainability, and progress drives growth dynamics. For example, Hewlett-Packard adhered to the principle of preserving its core values while adapting to the market. This allowed the company to remain great for decades. Combine unchanging values with continuous improvement. Enduring greatness is achieved through a balance between preserving foundations and stimulating progress. This is such a wonderful book. I have compiled a separate list of all the important theses from this book, along with all the techniques and tools, and created a step-by-step action plan that you can immediately implement in your life. You can get all this in my community, Place of Power. There, you will find a detailed text analysis with similar lists for each book being reviewed. The community has already thoroughly analyzed and made available to you hundreds of world bestsellers, with a new analysis released every day. Follow the link in the description and use it.